The door is slightly open, not enough to notice unless you were looking for it. You were. Inside, the light is warm. Domestic. Yellow tones bouncing off cheap paint. A television murmurs at low volume. You don't step in yet. You wait. You listen. 2 voices. 1 adult. 1 smaller. You check the file again in your head. Male. Alone. Routine confirmed over 12 days. No deviations. No mention of anyone else. Your finger rests along the frame of the weapon, not the trigger. Controlled. Practiced. Detached. The smaller voice laughs. You don't move. This wasn't in the file. Your breathing slows automatically. 4 seconds in. 4 seconds out. Your eyes adjust to the angle. The man is seated. Back exposed. The child sits on the floor, facing the television. Distance, 4.3 meters. Time to act, under 2 seconds. Exit route, clear. Your finger tightens slightly. Not enough to fire, enough to hesitate. That's new. You weren't recruited. You were noticed. 3 years ago, you were working logistics, inventory management. No degree, no long-term plan. You understood systems, though. Patterns, inefficiencies. You corrected them quietly. Someone paid attention. The first job didn't look like a job. A delivery. No questions. Cash in an envelope. $200. No signature. No follow-up. The second one required timing. Exact placement. Exact departure. $550. By the 5th, you understood what was being asked without being told. You weren't trained in a facility. No instructors. No official process. Just instructions that became more precise each time. Surveillance techniques sent through encrypted files. Entry methods broken into steps. Exit strategies reduced to variables. You learned quickly. Not because you wanted to. Because mistakes were expensive. Payment increased with complexity. $200 became $900. $900 became $3,000. Then $7,500. You stopped asking what the work was called. You focused on doing it correctly. Morality was never introduced into the system. It wasn't removed. It was simply never part of the design. You live between assignments. There is no fixed address. Only temporary spaces. 1-week rentals. Cash payments. No personal items beyond what fits into a single bag. Clothes are neutral. Replaceable. Names rotate every few months. Documents follow. Preparation takes days. You map entry points. Measure routines. Track movement patterns down to minutes. You observe how long lights stay on. When doors lock. Which neighbors notice too much. You build a version of the target's life inside your head. Execution takes seconds. 1 motion. 1 correction. No repetition. Cleanup takes discipline. You don't rush it. You don't improvise. You follow sequence. Gloves removed in reverse order. Surfaces checked twice. Entry point restored to original state. Exit path staggered. You leave nothing behind. You take nothing with you. Sleep is shallow. Rarely more than 5 hours. Always interrupted. Always light enough to wake at the smallest inconsistency. You don't drink. You don't celebrate. You don't mark time. Assignments define your calendar. Gaps between them define your existence. There are rules. No written list. No handbook. But they exist. You don't contact clients. Ever. Communication flows one direction. You don't ask questions beyond scope. Curiosity introduces risk. You don't repeat methods in the same region within 90 days. You don't stay in one identity longer than 6 months. You don't deviate from the contract. Except you do. They call it adjustment. Quietly. Indirectly. A door that should be locked isn't. You adapt. A schedule shifts by 11 minutes. You adjust. A camera appears where there wasn't one before. You account for it. Creative compliance. You follow the outcome, not the exact path. That's how you survive. After the first year, the jobs become cleaner. Less uncertainty. Higher value. After the second year, the system trusts you with incomplete information. That's not trust. It's efficiency. They assume you'll fill the gaps. You always do. Relationships don't end suddenly. They fade. Calls become shorter, then irregular, then unnecessary. You stop explaining where you are. Then you stop being asked. Friends adjust to your absence before you do. Family notice changes in tone, in pauses, the way you choose words carefully, even in simple conversations. You visit less. When you do, you observe more than you engage. You note exits. You track movement. You scan windows without thinking. You leave early. Not because you need to, because staying feels unnatural. Isolation isn't imposed. It's selected. Over time, you realize you prefer it. Fewer variables, fewer risks, no attachments to account for, no explanations to maintain. You become efficient outside the work the same way you are inside it. Minimal, controlled, replaceable. The job changes in your third year. The instructions arrive incomplete. Target, confirmed. Location, confirmed. Time, flexible. But there's an addition. Adjust if necessary. No clarification. No channel to request one. You begin preparation anyway. 4 days of observation. The routine is inconsistent. The target doesn't follow patterns cleanly. That's unusual. On the 5th day, you position yourself. The door is slightly open. You already know what's inside. You saw the child enter 2 hours earlier. Not part of the file. Not mentioned in the update. The system didn't account for it. Or it did, and chose not to include it. You stand outside, calculating. If you proceed, the outcome is efficient, clean. Contract fulfilled. If you wait, variables increase. Exposure risk rises by the minute. If you abort, there is no protocol for what follows. Your breathing remains steady. Your hand doesn't shake. But the hesitation stays. That's new. The realization doesn't arrive as a shock. It forms gradually, then settles all at once. The system isn't precise, it's indifferent. The files aren't complete because completeness isn't required. Outcomes are. You were never meant to understand the full picture, only your part in it. The child inside the room isn't an error. It's a variable the system chose not to prioritize. You've been operating under the assumption of structure. There is none beyond efficiency. For the first time, you recognize the gap between instruction and consequence. And you are standing directly inside it. You adjust your grip. The distance hasn't changed. 4.3 meters. The man shifts slightly in his chair. The child doesn't turn. You calculate again. If you follow the contract exactly, the system remains intact. You remain part of it. If you deviate, even slightly, you introduce unpredictability. Unpredictability leads to attention. Attention leads to exposure. There are no second chances in this structure, only replacements. You understand that clearly, more clearly than anything else. The moment stretches. Not in time, in wait. You realize something else. The only time you ever feel certain is right before action, when variables collapse into a single decision. Before that, everything is calculation. After that, everything is consequence. You've been living between those 2 points for 3 years, never outside them, never beyond them. You lower the weapon, not fully, just enough. A deviation, small, controlled, irreversible. You step back from the door, quietly, precisely. No sudden movement, no noise. The television continues inside. The voices remain unchanged. Nothing in that room registers your decision. The system will. The message arrives 6 hours later. No greeting. No explanation. Contract incomplete. No follow-up. No instructions. You wait. Nothing comes. Days pass. No assignments. No contact. Your accounts remain accessible, but untouched. Your identities still hold, but something shifts. Absence isn't part of the pattern. You recognize it immediately. You've moved from active to optional, optional to unnecessary. Weeks later, access disappears. One account at a time, cleanly, without error, no confrontation. No warning, just removal. Efficient, the same way everything else operates. You relocate twice, change identifiers, reduce movement. But the system doesn't pursue you. It doesn't need to. You were never unique, only effective. There are others. There are always others. Months pass. The routines fade. The calculations slow. Sleep becomes deeper. Not better, just heavier. You walk into rooms without scanning exits. Sometimes. Not always. One night you sit in a quiet space, no assignment pending. No preparation required. No variables to calculate. The silence is unfamiliar, not because it's loud, because it's empty. You think about the moment at the door, the hesitation, the deviation, the single decision that removed you from the system. It doesn't feel dramatic. It feels procedural, like everything else. Somewhere else, another file is being prepared. Another target. Another set of incomplete details. Another person standing at the beginning of the same progression. Not recruited. Not trained. Just noticed. The system continues. Clean, efficient, indifferent. It doesn't correct itself. It doesn't remember you. It doesn't need to. You sit still. For the first time in years, there is no next step, no instruction, no outcome to optimize. And without that structure, one thing becomes clear. You were never surviving the system. You were maintaining it until you weren't.